Hopefully we're live here. How's it going? Let me get a chat up here. Using a new software for the stream this time, so hopefully there's no issues. Let me know in the chat if there is. The chat's being kind of weird right now, so I'm trying to get it up. Might take a second here. Perfect. How's everyone doing on this Saturday morning? For some reason I'm not being able to get the chat up here. Let me see. This is always the issue when you start streaming. There's 7 people in here. That's good. How's everyone doing today? I'm just going to get the chat up here on my phone for a little bit. It's like logged me out for some reason. But anyways, here today we're celebrating 25K streams or 25K subscribers. Thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed to the channel. It's crazy that I've hit 25,000 subscribers on YouTube, and so I want to do a stream. I want to stream so much more than I have, and been like trying to figure out software stuff and just kind of been busy, trying to figure everything out. So yeah, I really appreciate everyone who's tuning in. The plan for the stream is, just kind of general Q&A, things of that nature, but we're also going to be, doing a handful, talk about the Haikyuu news. I brought some physical manga with me that I have that we'll go over later that I will go through some recommendations. I just finished reading Vagabond not too long ago, and so I really want to pick a new manga to read, and so I want to get some recommendations from y'all, and then at the end we're going to do a giveaway, and I think we'll do that about 10:15 maybe my time, so in about a little less than 45 minutes here, we're going to do that, and that should be really fun. And so what that's going to be is, all right, I finally got the chat to work fully. Hello Jules, how's it going? Hope you all are doing well. Okebe, am I pronouncing that right? I know I've seen you in the comments. Good to see you. Thank you for joining here. And so yeah, we're I think the first thing we definitely have to discuss is the Haikyuu news, like unbelievable, best case scenario type news. Angela, hello, one of the YouTube members. Very good to see you. The channel just finished its Full Metal Alchemist watch along, which was really fun. And, it's been so long, or a couple years probably so long might be a bit aggressive. A couple years since I rewatched that series, like my favorite show of all time, arguably up there with, Haikyuu and a couple others. And so Angela was participating throughout that. So Angela, good to see you. I'm glad you enjoyed the FMA watch along. Hey, good to see y'all. Yeah, everyone get in the chat, so that's good. Hopefully this wasn't too rough of a start to it with this new software. Let me know if there's any streaming troubles. Suki, good to see you. Shout out to Suki and his channel. Suki always, is a patron in the Discord. Always fun to chat. Big Blue Lock fan. So thanks for hanging out today. Congratulations on 25K. May your channel grow more. Thank you, Okebe. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, for the first 3 years that I was on YouTube, I got essentially like no subscriber growth. Like I don't even think I was at 1,000 subscribers making videos for 3 years. And then the first, the for a long time, my most viewed video was a video on Full Metal Alchemist 2003, which is kind of crazy. And now like that's not even in my top 12, if not even lower, like not even in my top 20 most viewed videos. And then the first real video that popped up was What If Oikawa Went to Shiratorizawa? And that's where it's like, I think I had just passed 1,000 subscribers when that video released. And then or not when it released, I think I passed 1,000 subscribers and it hit the algorithm like 7 months later. I had posted it, I think at the end of 2020, and it was like fall of 2021 that it, did okay numbers where it was like, oh, I got my first check from YouTube all of a sudden. And really over the last year is where the growth has like really gone crazy since I made my Boy in the Heron video. Congrats on 25K, bro. Looking forward to see what you cook up next. Thank you, Suki. Always good to see you. And yeah, my next video is actually going to be on Vagabond because that's what I just finished reading. And that manga, I've been reading that manga for a long time and just like randomly would set it aside or whatever. But it's all-time great manga, arguably like as good as Haikyuu for me, which is pretty good praise. And so yeah, that video hopefully will be out in the next handful of days. I think the script is pretty well there, and the script is like a huge chunk of the process for me. Like I love working on the script. That's my favorite part of the process. And then the editing shouldn't be too bad. Good job on 25K. Thank you. I'm having trouble reading your name because of the font style, but thank you for tuning in. We were maybe the first one here, so yeah, I really appreciate it. I need to read Vagabond. Heard so much great stuff about it. How is Vagabond? Is it as good as they say? Yes, like it's literally like better than they say. Like it is so good, and it does not matter that it's not over and he might never come back. Although I've been having like, ever since I finished it, I feel like I had a dream where it was like, in a way, is back, and then I woke up and I was sad. But he made a special extra chapter that kind of wraps it up, and the story's in a pretty good place. Like it kind of gives you the tools to, or gets across its messaging. And since it is based on a true story, you kind of know what's going to happen. But obviously I'd love if there's more. But it's an incredible story. Like it's really, it's up for interpretation. Like a lot of what's going on in this story is interpretation based. Like he does not hold your hand at all in the best way possible. It's like very literary in that way, like especially like the start of the story, and kind of how these two friends end up going on their different paths as like vagabond-esque people. And but yeah, the artwork's incredible and it's super philosophical. And so the video that I've been working on is kind of I think you can watch it without reading it. Hopefully it's to convince you to watch it, but also it just kind of uses some of the philosophies of Vagabond to try and help pitch the series, and then hopefully for people who have read it, help contextualize some things. Because it really is a story that, even though it has so much action, it is fully based in philosophy. So yeah, strongly recommend it. If you like Haikyuu, like, in a way, is a sports guy, there's so much growth over time that's going on, but instead of playing volleyball or basketball, it's through the way of the sword and through violence, and it really deals with that in a mature way, I think. I think another, if you're interested in reading it, you should listen to the video by Philip Chase and Murphy Napier, I think's how her last name's pronounced. They're like two booktubers, and obviously Murphy's like, I'm sure a lot of you know who she is. She's really moved into the manga space. They did a read through of it together, and their final video is kind of a pitch for the series, at least the first half of that video. And so that's another great place to go if you're interested. They make a lot of really good points about it. But yeah, about the Haikyuu news that I know we're all so excited about. So we got an official announcement for the next film, and also the best case scenario OVA announcement of the Fukurodani versus Mugen Azaka match. This really was when the movie was announced that the story would be ending in 2 films, which obviously isn't changed now. The best case scenario was always an OVA, besides them just like going to seasons, like with them doing for sure 2 films. The best case scenario was always an OVA episode for the Fukurodani match, and which made a lot of sense. Like that's exactly how they approached, the story earlier with Nekoma. Z Kid, your Haikyuu videos are so good. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's like I like my whole audience is based on Haikyuu. Like it's pretty crazy how Haikyuu has really changed everything for like the videos I've made and stuff. And I think moving forward, I plan to make like 1 Haikyuu video a month. I don't want to get burnt out on the series, but it's also like I feel like I can talk about Haikyuu endlessly. And so that's so I really appreciate it, and I'm really glad that you all enjoy Haikyuu as much as I enjoy talking about it. Angela, my bros, Bokudo and Akashi will get their chances to shine. Oh my gosh, so true. Like, I just cannot wait to see all of these moments animated, and yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense looking back that they would go this route. Because that is how they handled the Nekoma, basically the Tokyo prelims, the qualifiers, where they handled it in that way. And so I just like 100% think that was a great move. And yeah, this match is so good. Like I made a video on it, I think in late last year, 4 or 5 months ago, and it is such a critical match, I think, to understanding the story's themes. And like every match has such an importance in how you understand the story, and it's all really meaningful. And even though it's a side match, like Bokudo's arc in particular, and not to spoil where that ends up, but if you've seen my video on Bokudo, you know that I kind of make an argument for his role in the story, and that wouldn't be possible if you skip over his match. It wouldn't hit with the same impact, essentially. And so yeah, I totally think it's completely necessary. They were making the right call. And OVA episodes, I mean, I don't know if there's 2 or there's going to be 4. Like, they're, they can play around a little bit with the structure. Hopefully they give it enough time to breathe. And Kiryu is such a fascinating character, so that's great. It'd be awesome if it comes out this year. I know people on the short that I made about it were saying they think it will be fall of this year, and then maybe next year for the film, or maybe the year after. I mean, the film is going to take a long time, I think. And I don't know, I wonder how y'all think about this, but I really think I really think the thought process here for the producers were, and someone had this sentiment when everyone was panicking, including me, and I made multiple videos about how the math doesn't work, and it didn't. They changed what they were doing. But there were people who were like, well, this manga ended in 2020. They were never going to put so many resources into finishing it properly. But so with the announcement of the film and how the first film performed, I really think the studio was like, okay, we do, like, people will go see this. This is a different level of property than just like a pretty well-known manga that when it's done serializing maybe loses a lot of its steam. And so I think that's definitely why they've approached this. And so I think that's great. And I'm, so glad that has been the approach. And so I'm hoping, like, I don't know what y'all think going into the post time skip material. Um, do you think it is that it's fine if they just do another movie? Do you think it's likely they just do another movie, or are you hoping for like a 12 episode season? I can't remember the math off of the top of my head how long that is. I have to go back and watch one of my other videos that I made 2 years ago almost. But I do think it's likely that they just do another film, and start it with the training arc and then go into the match, because the match is it flows. The final match of the series flows so much that would be my guess at how they're going to approach everything. But like this also, the announcement of the OVAs is an insurance that the pacing of this film should be awesome, because this match is shorter than the Nekoma match, and with them not trying to fit in Fukurodani on the side means that we should get even better pacing, and we shouldn't, hopefully, and my math could be wrong here on the chapter and the amount of time, but I'm fairly certain that the best match of the remaining material was always the Kamo Medai match if it was going to be just a film. So I think they won't have to make the sacrifices where they made Kenma into the POV character and made it really focused on him and Hinata. You know, I would be devastated if they make a similar choice and they remove or really dumb down Asahi, because that is some of my favorite stuff in the entire series. And so I think because the match isn't as big, because Nekoma has so much going on into it. I mean, that's like why the film should have been ideally like 2 hours and 20 minutes instead of an hour and 20 minutes. So here I'm hopeful that they don't skip over Asahi. I don't think they would do a season for the time skip, so probably not another movie. Yeah, I think you're definitely right. I think they could do a core. I think it could fit into 12 episodes, but it's like that would be going, like, you're totally right, that would be going against kind of everything that we've seen from like sports anime like this, like Kuroko Basket ended on a film, things like that. Twisted Wonderland Fangirl, hello, good to see you. Thank you for joining the stream. Every little bit I'll kind of go over the stream plans. Right now we're just talking Haikyuu, and if you guys have any questions, let me know. And talking the big Haikyuu news, I have some manga that so I just finished reading Vagabond. I want to read another manga. I have like 6 here that we'll talk about, and if any of y'all have read them, maybe you can help me pick what my next read should be, throw out some suggestions. About 10:15 we're gonna do a giveaway. The giveaway is for a free month to my Patreon. I really want to continue to grow my Patreon, and I have some plans to offer even more benefits for everyone. But the biggest thing that you kind of get to Patreon is access to the watch along in the Discord server. And so most people like this, should not have any trouble getting access to this free month. But kind of the idea is that hopefully to get some more people in the Discord, and then we can all try to do a watch along. And so you guys can have that experience, and just, appreciation for 25,000 subscribers. And so I will be putting that link in, and it's just a link that you'll click on. I'll throw it in the chat. So a link you can click on that I'll throw in, and I'll do that in about probably 25-30 minutes. So stay around till then, or pop in then, and even if you have to go, it'll probably be coming back up. I don't know if all of the spots will be taken, but I want to make sure I can give out to all the people who would support my streams. Hi, Yunakimi8. Hi, I love all your Haikyuu, some FMA, and Hunter x Hunter vids. I love Vagabond, one of my favorite series. Please check out Hoseki no Kuni too if you have time. I have read Hoseki no Kuni, which is, I think, Land of the Lustrous in the English print. I haven't caught up since the hiatus, because I want to reread the series. I did make a video about it I think in 2021. So I don't know how well the quality of that video will hold up. But you should go check that out. I think I probably called it Land of the Lustrous in that title. But yeah, I really appreciate that you also, like the Full Metal Alchemist and Hunter x Hunter. There will be a Full Metal Alchemist retrospective that was part of, one of the watch along that we just did on the channel. In the Discord, was with FMA Brotherhood. I think it holds up really well. Like, still maybe my favorite show of all time. And so I've really wanted to make a full retrospective like I did for the 03 version. And so I've been working on that. It might take me a little while to get finished with it, but love it so much. Read 20th Century Boys. It's so good. So that is one of the manga that I have here. So I can pull out some. So I have some physical. I have a decently big manga collection. I've got 20th Century Boys. Here's volume 1. And this manga, I read the first 2 volumes of a couple years ago and loved it. But I think I was like reading it, and then I don't know, something happened where I like put it down for a little bit, and I was like, I really want to read this thing all in one go. I kind of want to finish Vagabond first as like my big series, like when I started reading Vagabond. So this is the top of my list. I own the entire manga in these editions, the kind of bigger volumes. I've only read Pluto by Urasawa. I think Urasawa is just like a genius. I haven't seen all of Monster, but most of it. And so, yeah, I think that is probably one of my number one choices to be reading. But yeah, what about 20th Century Boys? Like, I remember enjoying the start, but I wasn't necessarily like, oh yeah, this is the greatest thing I've ever read at the start. What kind of, do you have like an extra pitch? Like what about 20th Century Boys is, so good? And then, yeah, I'll kind of go over, I guess, some other manga that I brought. If anyone's read these or have any other thoughts, let me know. But yeah, overall, Haikyuu, just like great news. Can't wait. I think my next Haikyuu video is actually going to be revisiting season 3. And probably specifically the Shiratorizawa match, like not the season as a whole, but because I kind of made a video about that like a long time ago. But more really revisiting that match and kind of my current style. I think there's a lot that I could say. And I really like making the match videos. But yeah, so I've got like 6 manga here that we can talk about and kind of my understanding of them. But yeah, 20th Century Boys is the first one. Just like everyone who's read it, I feel like is like, this is the best thing ever. And Urasawa with Pluto at least is like a masterpiece, and Pluto's is really tight, at only like 8 volumes. Good plot twist. Okay, that makes sense. Like Urasawa, at least with Pluto, it's like this reveal of this mystery is just, fantastic. Another manga that I've read, I think the first 2 volumes of, is Nana. Do we have any Nana fans in here? I feel like Nana is brilliant. I've seen a little bit of the anime. I own like 6 volumes of Nana. But I haven't, I'm waiting to like start reading it to get into it more. I feel like this would be a really fun video or fun series to make a video on if it's as good as I feel like it was when I started it. Like the only romance video manga I've ever talked about is really Blue Box, and both of those videos have done really, really well. Mainly because the anime came out and the old ones started doing well, but I've only heard amazing things. Angela, love Nana. Yeah, that's good to hear, because I know you have very good taste. So that does make me want to read this like even more. And yeah, I think I read like, yeah, I read like, I think the first 2 volumes, and it was really, really interesting. It is like more dense than I thought it would be, which is interesting. Imagine them being so blissful to us that they animate the match of Ninja Shoyo and Kageyama at the Olympics too. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they give us some like, for Adate's like, okay, I'll write like, this match for you in anticipation because, like, let's cash out. I would love that. And I loved before the last film the extra chapter that he's released. Like the 2 chapters he's released since he finished the manga are both so good and just like reinforce why I love Haikyuu. Incredible stuff. Is that Kakarot himself? Hello, Son Goku. Good to see you. Hopefully hopefully that is the intention there. Urasawa's writing style is renowned for its intricate, suspenseful storytelling, deep character development, and emphasis on psychological themes. Yeah, he's a genius. And it's like, Pluto is so good, both the anime and manga, but in particular the manga is incredible. So yeah, Urasawa's big time for sure. We can just imagine. Yeah, it would be so good to get the Olympics match, or just like any extra Haikyuu content is like, I need it. I would love it. It'd be so good. Love your Haikyuu videos. Thank you. Good to know that Goku's a Haikyuu fan, as we all knew he would be. That is like my favorite. I do love responding to comments of people who are anime characters. Like their name will say Akashi. They got an Akashi profile picture. Then I'll just be like, oh my God, like Akashi, thank you for watching this video. You know, it's things like that. It's always really fun. So yeah, I got a couple more manga here. I think the other leading candidate with 20th Century Boys, I think going into this was, I've not read all of Slam Dunk, which is crazy and seems weird for my channel. So I've got also a handful of volumes. I really like collecting physical manga. And so I've got volume 1 here. And so yeah, Slam Dunk would just be such a good read, be so much fun. It's hard to find all of it. Like I really like going in person and buying manga. I don't know how many volumes I have, a similar amount to Nana. So like not a ton, but enough to get started. But yeah, like for any of the manga collectors in the chat know, how difficult, it can be to find manga in person, and so that's just like a big thing of like, I really like the challenge of trying to find it in person. And so like, that's definitely, something that I'm kind of focused on, is finding manga in person. So when I'm reading Slam Dunk, it's like, I don't want to get too far ahead. Whoa, shout out to Angela, who just gifted 10 memberships. So we're getting tons of gifts today for everyone in the chat. So perfect. It's the same that you'll get from... so thank you so much, Angela. And just such a huge supporter of the channel. And also, great name. I don't know if I've told you this, Angela, but I have a sister with the same name, which is pretty funny. So thank you so much for all the support. For any people who get the Patreon, it's the same thing for YouTube membership. So make sure to hop in the Discord, which you can find that link, and I'll share it again on there. It's like in one of the posts. It's a little harder to find on YouTube because you have to like go through the link to get to it. But I'll share that again for everyone. And so yeah, thank you so much, Angela, and hope all of y'all to see you in the Discord, and we'll be voting on the next watch along pretty soon here. So yeah, thank you so much, and congrats on 25K and being my favorite creator on YouTube. Well, thank you. That really means a lot, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's like responses like that make it really fun to make videos, make it even more fun. So really, really appreciate it. So we've got a couple more manga here that we can talk about. These ones are, also like some of these are a little bit quicker. I haven't read Fire Punch. I own, I think, almost the whole series. I mean, obviously I love Chainsaw Man. I know this is wild, it's dark and sad and brutal, and it just sounds awesome. So I definitely, like, it would be kind of fun to spend a weekend just like reading this. Would be really, really good. Make a video of best team banners in Haikyuu. That's an interesting one, or like really talking about the mottos. I think the closest thing I have is the symbolism. But that's more talking about like, the owl, for which, like, I didn't know. Like, I was doing a lot of research for that video of just like trying to get like what animals are like, and it's like, wow, media has really really tricked me into thinking owls are this like incredibly intelligent animal when it's not. And I love how well that's handled by Furadate, where it's like our perception is that they're intelligent, but it's like they're like our perception is that they're intelligent, but they're not. And that's kind of what Bokudo is, right? Like, he is intelligent in his own way. Kakarot Fire Punch is great. Yeah, I've only heard amazing things about it. And like, unlike 20th Century Boys, that's going to take me a couple weeks at best to read if I'm like really on it. This is something that I feel like I can read in a weekend if I just get locked in on it. So that would be really, really good. But I'm also, I read a lot of fiction as well, like regular prose fantasy. And so that is something that I'm always, balancing, is like my manga reading versus reading fiction. Because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I do a lot of writing, and I hope to publish a fantasy novel like in the not too distant future. To people who are now maybe checking out the Discord and YouTube membership and Patreon and things like that, I do want to share some of my writings, even if it's like just in a small way. I kind of want to share some with y'all. But yeah, so that's like another thing that's like, sometimes reading a short manga really, really helps. So that's like one thing that I'm always like thinking about, is like, can I read this in a weekend? Because I really should just like set that up to do that a weekend. So Fire Punch, definitely want to check it out. Wasim, that's a beautiful profile picture of Bokudo you got there. You can't really see here, but I am repping Fukuro Dani, my Fukuro Dani hoodie. Gotta show it off a little bit. I think only like one person has ever recognized this hoodie when I'm out and about. But like, definitely my favorite team. Right. And, so yeah, Angela, again, thank you so much for gifting those 10 subs. It's, just so generous of you. I personally didn't enjoy 20th Century Boys, but I liked Monster. For some reason, I had a hard time buying into the premise of 20th Century Boys. Yeah, that's interesting. And I feel like from reading the first two of these like bigger volumes, I can kind of see that. I have read also a little bit of Asadora by Urasawa. I think I only have like I keep saying 6. I think I only have like 4 of those ones, that I was getting out when he first was releasing them. And I just kind of like fell off the boat, and will probably like binge buy a bunch of them. And it was similar, where I was like, I feel like this is good, but I'm waiting for this premise to like reach another level, is kind of how I was thinking about it. Read Billy Bat. I have heard that that's good. So that's definitely interesting. I don't have any of it physically, so it has to be a really good pitch if I don't have it physically. But maybe I'll be on the lookout for it. I'm always on the lookout to buy more manga, like my manga and book collection, and which is enabled by my girlfriend as well, who's buys more books than I do. Like, she's on the, I don't know if you guys collect figures or manga or novels, it's like, I mean, it's like every week she's buying a new special edition book. I'm like, where are these coming from? We don't have any space. And then it's like I turn around and do the same thing. My favorite is Kamo Medai's banner. I agree with that. Like, I think their philosophy is so good. I mean, I love Kamo Medai. Like, and it's like the first time, it's like I didn't love them when I first read it, but it's like the more I reread, I just adore Kamo Medai. I can't say which of the Haikyuu teams I like the most because I love them all so much. Yeah, for me, it's definitely Fukuro Dani is like, probably because I love Bokudo so much. But it's like, I love like Kamo Medai's perspective and their coach, Aaron Murphy, is that his name? I love his philosophy. I think it's so great. And, I also think Inurazaki's motto is really interesting, which I talked a little bit about recently with my Kita video. But there's so many positive and negative views with their philosophy. The idea of like leaving the memories behind is a really good thing, but also like not a good thing. Like you need to have your perspectives have influence on you, but in the same breath, it's like you want to be in the moment. And it's such an important thing to be in the moment, to fight nerves or anxiety or overthinking. It is about the moment. And in a way, we don't need the memories is kind of embracing that. So I think Inurazaki's actually has a lot of the most nuance. But I do think like Kamo Medai, Fukuro Dani, honestly, Nekoma, like Connect is so good. So good. Like every philosophy that comes up, it's like, this is just incredible. The way the banner revealed through Akashi's eyes was perfect. Yeah. And also, like, I didn't fully put to words how well Akashi and Kita's character go together, but man, they do. Which is really great. Tendo is my favorite character. That's a great pick, honestly. I haven't made a video on Tendo. I'll be talking about him when I talk about the Shiratorizawa match later this month. But he is an amazing character. He also has one of the best covers in the entire series. But he's incredible. I know there's been another really great video essay on him. I think that's like part of the reason why which like, I've made plenty. I mean, when you talk about every character, someone's talked about it. That's, I think, one of the reasons why my Sakusa video is like my highest character analysis. I think it's because I'm like the only one who's made a Sakusa specific video. And that's like a video I'm really proud of, actually, even though it's like not super long. It's just like, I feel like I didn't get him until I made that video. So that video really helped me. That and the Bokudo video, I think, are so good. But Tendo's great. One day, probably worthy of his own analysis. Habit is second nature. Like, that's a great philosophy. Yeah, I mean, you guys are giving me just like great video topics here. I love Bokudo too, especially after the Aces battle. Yeah, like Bokudo, yeah, he's the perfect example of like when he's first introduced, it's like, oh, here's this gag character who's like really cool, really, really, really great design. But like you don't fully like totally take him super seriously. And then all of a sudden you do, and it's like just fantastic. Hoshiumi is my favorite character. I play college volleyball at 5'7". Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. And every time I get down, I just rewatch Haikyuu. Well, shout out to you. I mean, like, that's so cool. What position do you play? And I mean, just like playing, I was talking about this with someone recently, actually. It's like just playing any college sport is like such a thing that you have to dedicate yourself to. It's like it takes so much time and effort, and it's a different thing talking about it at the college than the high school level, at least here in the States, because at the high school level in the States, it's like, this is, if you're trying to get into college, like this is something you put on a resume, and it's like, yeah, you do that for, you do that for jobs as well. But it's like really for like, if you're just like trying to get into a school or anything. And then obviously like, I did sports and like speech and debate and things like that. And it's like in high school, it's like, you're also just like, you have time. In college, that time starts to run out a little bit more if you're an athlete. If you're not an athlete, then you got plenty of time in college, honestly. But that's, so that's super cool. I did not pursue college sports. I love Sakusa, which there was more of him. Totally agree. Like, great character, but I could have used more of him. I play opposite. That's so cool. Yeah. I hope you are having a great time. Good luck to you in all your games. And yeah, that's awesome. And good luck to your team. Make a video on best team jersey. I mean, that would be interesting. Like, trying to analyze the color schemes would be something that I would need to research, like color theory, that I don't have a base knowledge of. Like, a lot of this stuff is from my background already, and like things I already know and my own interpretations. So that would be interesting. The training arc, which was huge for Bokuto in terms of how much it helped Suki and cemented himself as Hinata's teacher. Yeah, 100%. And especially the second time, when you revisit that training arc, it's just so good. And his relationships with all of them are fantastic. It's amazing how you were able to make a video on Eren. He has so little in the manga, but the video was great to understand his role. Thank you so much. Yeah, he's a character also similarly to Sakusa that I feel like I didn't get him as much as I felt like I should have. And there really was more depth to him than I thought. And in his relationship with Kita, right? Because you just come away from that story, and it's like Kita, from that match, like him and Atsumu. And Eren's this like top 5 ace who, like kind of fades. Like, when you think of Eren, you think of him having a one-on-one spike and Hinata making the dig. Like, that's my first thing I think of with him, is either that or him talking to Kita about Kita's accomplishment. So I think it was an interesting perspective, though, that he adds so much. And I think like just like having him narrate the twins' backstory adds a little bit to him, like context like that you might not pick up, but when you have someone who's able to take the time to really think about why Furudate did that, it's like all of a sudden there's so much depth to him. But yeah, speaking of him and Hoshiumi, so my most viewed video by far is my short on the top 5 aces in Haikyuu, which is like nearing like 2 million views or something like that. And it's like, that video is so funny. One, because I'm fairly certain I was sick when I recorded it, and so like my voice is just like a bit nasally, and so like I really pick up on that, which is funny. But the other is that when I made it, Asahi's a top 3 character for me. I love Asahi, and I like was pretty familiar with the text, but not so familiar that like I knew, I wasn't nearly as knowledgeable about the text then than I am now, and definitely have been for the last year. And so I put Asahi on there, and I think there's like half an argument for it, for Asahi, because he plays so good in the Kama Medai match. If you're taking them, it's like he kind of goes bar for bar with Hoshiumi almost, because like the defense that Kama Medai is putting up is so much greater than Kurasuno's. And Eren like didn't really leave that big of an impression. But I think if I were to remake that video and like everyone talks about it, like I would probably have Hoshiumi at 5, and then, or Eren, probably Hoshiumi. And so it's like my most viewed video, almost 2 million people have seen it. And it's like, I probably would do it differently now. RX Anime, what if Kita went to Karasuno? That's an interesting one, and definitely could be an interesting short topic. I think I don't know if he would have as big of an impact on them as he did on Inarizaki, because he would kind of overlap with Daiichi and Suga's role. Like, they kind of have that level-headedness, but he would start, like, he probably would start over Tanaka. Maybe not. Tanaka's probably better than him. Would he start over Daiichi? They're probably pretty close. I think it would be interesting. I'm trying to think of like another team that he would be really, really interesting on. Probably Fukuro Dani. But he also wouldn't start in that team. I don't think. Let me see where. I'm also about to start volleyball after reading the manga. Shoyo's transformation was motivating for me. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm just a huge sports guy, actually. Like, love sports and love anime and manga. And so I think that's so cool. I also play, like, volleyball casually. My best sport has always been and will always be golf. I played golf in high school, and I'm a pretty good golfer, I'd say, which is so funny that, like, that's the sport. I wish it was volleyball or world football or basketball, but I do love golf. Naga, hello, good to see you. Thank you for joining the chat. What I didn't understand early on with the colors is the maroon jackets for Karasuno, but the colors are orange and black. Then in Inarizaki, we see maroon jackets again. Thoughts? Possible foreshadow? Yeah, that's kind of interesting that there is that connection. I never thought about that. And yeah, it's something interesting with, like, do they have those maroon jackets in the manga, or is that like an anime only thing? Or just Karasuno school jackets? Yeah. Possible foreshadowing the way Hinata becomes. Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's a manga thing or not. Can you give me Discord link? Yes, after this I will. And also this reminds me that I'll be giving away some patron. So I'll put that link in there for, especially if you didn't get Angela's bump, you'll get the same benefits from Angela. But let me drop in this chat a link to, so you can just follow here, and if you have a Patreon account, you can just get a free month there as well. So that's in there. Let me see if I can pin this. And yeah, and if you're rewatching this, there's a good chance that not all the spots will be taken, so feel free to do that. And again, thank you so much, Angela, for that support. Just so great. Let me get back here. Yeah, Asahi's so good, and he's so good in this next match. Yeah, Karasuno has its own Kita with Daiichi. Yeah, that's totally true. Yeah, I guess it's just weird that the school colors to be different from the team colors. Yeah, I think that's, like, I totally see your point. Like, that is kind of an interesting thing. I never thought about that before, but it's worth thinking about, I think. And, potentially if there's, yeah, curious if it's a manga thing, because there's a lot of things where it's, like, kind of weird like that, where, like, the anime maybe changes the intention for the colors is definitely a thing. We can go over, I still have 2 more manga that I brought with me, and then maybe I'll start a poll or something. We can vote. But Doro Hidoro is one that I own like 8 volumes of, more than the 6 that I've been claiming. That also I've always really wanted to start. I mean, I just like love the covers and the artwork of this one, like just so violent and brutal. I've not watched the anime at all. Like I've only just heard really good things about this. So this is one that I definitely want to check out. I don't know if anyone in here has read it, but I'm definitely curious about it. What are your thoughts on Mad Dog versus Asahi? Who's the better spiker, not ace spiker? I think if we're talking by, it depends on what point. When they play each other, I'm taking Asahi, but it's probably kind of like, I just think Mad Dog's a little out of control at the end of season 2. If we're talking end of nationals, Asahi, like definitely. But then post time skip, Mad Dog definitely gets better. So I think the thing is, and also Asahi's a year older, which like really matters at the high school level when you're talking about like good players who are and like pretty good players. It's like 1 year, your different outlook, right? Like it's such a big deal. But I think Mad Dog's potential is definitely higher than Asahi's, and his mindset, you know, it's like when he learns to play with it, he just needs to learn to play within a team. They're kind of interesting where Asahi has to learn to be empowered. It's like Mad Dog doesn't need to be empowered. You know, like they're kind of polar opposites actually, and that if that match wasn't so steeped in the setter battle and the battle of speed, that could have been an interesting thing for Furodate to explore, because those two really, really reflect each other. And they also reflect each other in a way that Asahi's the ace, but Hinata's typically scoring the most points, or pretty darn close. Where like Mad Dog is definitely second on that team. Obviously, Awaizami's incredible and better than the both of them at this point in the story. But Mad Dog's ceiling's higher as it's confirmed, basically, that he goes on to play at a professional level. And then the last manga I have is a horror manga, Happiness, which I think, I don't know if anyone here's read. It just seems pretty interesting. I own a handful of volumes of it as well. I'm very curious to check it out. I feel like it's a pretty easy read. Did you already pick what manga you're reading next? We haven't yet. We've just gone over the 6 here. So I guess, should I make a poll here, or should I'll say the 6, and then y'all just like spam which one you think out of these 6, and then if you have another recommendation after this, we can talk about those. Is it also a K-drama? I don't know. It could be. I know it's kind of like a psychological horror, I think. I've talked about it a little bit on a short I think I've made in the past. Because although all my shorts, I'm always talking to other people to like get these lists and everything. But yeah, so I'm going to go over the 6 real quick. We got Happiness. We've got Doro Hidoro, which is also like kind of like horror action, I think. Fire Punch, To Make Me Sad. Slam Dunk, which could keep the Inoue going, which would be pretty sweet. Nana, and then 20th Century Boys are the 6 that I own that like I could start today. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts, throw them in. And if not, I'll just choose one, because there's probably 2 that like I'm leaning towards. Do you think manga about competing in marching bands could work in a shonen setting? Marching band competitions are both big in Japan and America, whether it's big or small bands. I mean, I think that'd be interesting. Like, I don't see why not. I know it takes a particular kind of mangaka to be able to translate music, but there is tons of examples that can do that. And so I think it definitely definitely could be something, interesting. All right. I've seen a poll. I'll make a poll. We'll put 4 of them on there, the 4 that people suggest. 20th Century Boys is suggested. Nana suggested. And then Fire Punch. Perfect. We'll do those 4. Poll has been started. And honestly, good chance that I'll make a video on all of these one day, but like the next manga, like I always just like, I kind of know when I start a manga or I know about a manga and I know it's pretty good, there's always just a good chance that when I finish it, I'll make a video on it. Yeah, shout out to Jules, another patron who's often joining watch-alongs and is great in the Discord. Thank you for hanging out as well. I'll look. I haven't watched a lot of K-dramas. I have been watching Severance. Do you guys watch Severance? I'm behind. No spoilers for season 2. I only recently started watching it. But yeah, Severance is amazing. I'm a huge fan of Dan Erickson, who is the creator of it. At one of my old jobs, I was kind of adjacent to him and got to speak to his assistant, who's like one of the nicest people I've ever emailed, especially like in the film industry. So huge Severance fan, speaking of like live action TV shows. But I watched it late because like when I was kind of discussing, I wasn't, or when I kind of was talking to him and his team, I was so busy that I didn't watch it, and I was like, I'll wait for season 2, and then I was just like got behind on it. So now I'm trying to catch up before the final episode comes out. So it looks like Slam Dunk is winning. I mean, that was my guess, like Slam Dunk or 20th Century Boys. And honestly, Slam Dunk might be a slower process because I really want to read it physically. But maybe I'll start Slam Dunk and then throw in whatever takes second here. But yeah, Slam Dunk or Nana. Slam Dunk and Fire Punch are both great. Can't go wrong with either. Yeah, Jules does have good taste. I really wish the NBA would have done promotion with Slam Dunk instead of One Piece. Yeah, I mean, I love One Piece, so that was still cool. But yeah, hopefully they do something with Slam Dunk down the road. I just think One Piece, especially with the live action, is really trying. And also, like, the One Piece TCG is just huge here in the TCG realm. Like, I'm a big TCG enjoyer. And it is massive over here. So like One Piece is really trying to push the Western market. I really wish I could have gone to that game. That would have been so cool. Are you reading any weekly manga? I have heard of, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but is that Akane Banaashi? Is that anywhere close? I've heard of it. I've fallen off my weekly train, which is tough. I'm probably a few months to half a year behind One Piece, a little bit behind Blue Box. But usually out of the big shonen manga, the vast majority I try to keep up on, but it's always like I'll still read them in bunches and then stay up to it for a few weeks, like Chainsaw Man. I'm a little behind on it. I always get in a really big manga mood where I want to read weekly, and then it like goes away and it comes back and goes away. So, but yeah, give me weekly manga recommendations because I like to have a handful that I'm aware of. I'm up on. Kagurabachi is another one that, I've been reading and is super good. Angela, Jules, we should have a read along. I would love to do that. I've been thinking about hosting read alongs on the Discord as well. Would anyone be interested in doing that? So all of the idea for the watch along, read along, and in terms of like you kind of watch it or read it on your own, and then we just like talk about it, has basically come up or has been suggested through BookTube and through experiences there. And so I feel like it's a little harder to get everyone on board the watch along because it's like trying to find a structure for that. But I have definitely thought about it. I also kind of want to reread Bleach down the road. One of my absolute favorite, I guess, peers of video essayist is Radman, who makes great Bleach videos, and he always on Twitter he's always talking about it. Makes me want to reread it. So yeah, Angela and Jules, I'd be super down to host. Maybe we'll make a separate channel for read along, and that could be like a bonus thing that we do. That would be super fun, and I would definitely be down to do a read along. I grew up watching Slam Dunk and Yu Yu Hakusho, and Ryota from Slam Dunk is like Noya from Haikyuu. And also, Angela, did y'all watch the Slam Dunk movie? I did watch the Slam Dunk movie. Incredible. And also, I made my dad watch it, who's like over 70 years old and has watched very little anime outside of basically the anime that he made me, that like he has, I'm fairly certain he's seen Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie with me and my brother. So it like outside of like things like that. And he loved it. And he likes basketball and stuff. And he thought it was great. And it was really cool. And he also has seen the live action One Piece, and and he really liked it and was like, I want season 2 right now. And he watched it when it first came out, and it's like, it's pretty funny. His description of the story was like, these characters are a bit wild. It's like, yeah, they are. Yeah, I'm glad, but it shows how the One Piece show, the live action, is doing work. Like people who my dad never would have read the manga, right? And also, Yu Yu Hakusho, to Yunikimi, I'm fairly certain it's like my earliest memories are actually of me watching anime is watching Yu Yu Hakusho. And this is when I'm like really little. And Dragon Ball Z was around there as well. I remember having, there's a notorious story with my brother where I broke his Gohan toy because I was angry that he got the main character, and I think I had a Frieza toy. I like to claim that he was making fun of me for being the villain, but like I was probably like 5 or 6 years old when I have these memories of watching like Yu Yu Hakusho and Dragon Ball Z. So yeah, I love Yu Yu Hakusho. Rewatched it a few years back, or maybe a while ago now. I say a few years back, it was like 5 years ago. But really good. You got all the Bleach mangas for Christmas a few years ago, and love rereading Bleach. That's awesome. I've actually never read Bleach. I've only watched it. And I know that the manga is just like an elevated level of class, right? Like Kubo is so good. And so I really want to read it. I would love to own it all one day. Like I would like to own all of the big 3. But I need to get more box sets and do that. But at least I can read it on, just like on my iPad, is super easy with some of those shonen. So that's something that we could do down the road. Slam Dunk is just one of those series that seems to fit the American blue collar worker in a way. Yeah, it was really great. My dad, he really liked it, and he doesn't watch a lot of animation, right? Unless he was taking me to something. Reading the manga goes really fast because the action is so good in the manga. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do want to read the manga. Like you're totally convincing me, Angela. And honestly, I feel like I've been missing some Ulquiorra in my life recently. I know there's great videos about him, but I want to make a video about him because I think he's just such a phenomenal character. By far my favorite of the villains, like above Aizen. even more than Kenpachi, when he's like, like all the Soul Reapers are villains at the beginnings, and Kenpachi really, I don't know, kind of felt like a villain, I feel like, when I read it. And Byakuya, all great characters, but none hit like Ulquiorra for me. Ryota's backstory made me cry so much in the movie. Yeah, Ryota, so good. And it does, Slam Dunk has that, a little more of the off the court stuff that Haikyuu doesn't have in the same way. Like Haikyuu, everything centers on volleyball. Like even when you think about Kageyama's eventual backstory, it's still volleyball focused, which is really interesting. And that backstory does focus on basketball, of course, but like it feels a little more life than not. And Daddy Grimjow, Grimjow's great. I do love Grimjow. Great design. An interesting character. I mean, I just think, like, I watched it in high school. I never really watched it growing up like I did Naruto and One Piece. I'd seen a couple episodes here or there, which really doesn't make sense because I'm a sucker for swords. And so, like, you'd think I would just be, like, super on top of Bleach. But for some reason, I just, like, maybe it played a bit later or something. So I finally watched it in high school, loved it, but it's like I just the lens that I could bring to it now would be so good. And I would love to read it and then just like throw on some background music from the soundtrack, and it'd be just like such a great experience. Have I gotten much into Gintama? I tried Gintama a couple years ago, and then I don't really know why I fell off, probably because it was just like such a big thing. But I do, and that is one series that I've been thinking about watching, because I do need to watch it. I feel like in the back of my head, I'm like, well, I can always like wait because I want to, be able to get as many of the references as possible. So like, I want to make sure I'm, any of these big series that I missed, right? Like making my JoJo's Journey or making my, these other big ones that aren't so self-referential, or at least that's my understanding of Gintama. But now it's like, there's no excuses. Like, but also maybe there's a part of me that's saving something that I know so good. Like, I feel like everyone just adores Gintama who's read it. And it's supposed to be hilarious, but then really, really get, from my understanding, emotional and so well written and really, really interesting. So that's my thought process on Gintama. I definitely want to check it out. And maybe I didn't in the past because I was a little more, I think there was a time where it was like I would just pick up dubs because it was just easy to watch a dub and be able to eat food or be able to, just kind of like focus on it, but not have an easy time to get into it because it's not sub. But it's like I'm totally flipped. I mean, obviously, like the sub dub debate, I think lacks nuance, and I will watch both, and I'll always tell people I'll watch both, but I don't think it had a dub back when I tried to watch it, probably like in high school, and but like that obviously doesn't bother me now, but maybe back then could have been a barrier. Also, it looks like Slam Dunk is winning the poll, which is huge. So I think there's a good chance that Slam Dunk will be the pick, and I'll start reading that and I'll give updates. Maybe we'll start a watch along on Patreon, which is through YouTube membership or Patreon. And so hopefully a lot of people now have access to there. If you've got through YouTube membership, I'll repost that link. But it'll be in the community tab for specific for Patreon exclusive or YouTube member exclusive, sorry. You can access the Discord there. So hopefully join in. If you have any, issues, just like comment on this video, comment on a video, reach out to me and I'll get it squared away, or comment on my recent update post, then I can really easily see it and just like get you there. We'll get you all access to the Discord. And then, so we'll be voting on a watch along soon. Could be a newer series. I have been putting off watching Orbit, that new series that everyone loves. So if there's enough people who haven't seen it, maybe that could be one we watch. But there's a lot of potential options. And then maybe we'll start doing some manga read-alongs. I think